Mark, the next one is a pretty serious one.
Let me get on my serious face.
Okay, go ahead.
It didn't
Nailed
work.
it.
Didn't
Nailed
work.
it. All right, so the question is, can a long distance relationship work? And obviously the second follow-up is how?
Sure.
What do you think?
Well, of course, but it doesn't very often.
You put in a lot of work when you and your wife were away. You had been married, obviously, so
But,
it's
like,
a little bit
that's-
of a different example.
Like, yeah, there's so many things where it's like long distance. Long distance for me was I was gone 5 days a week, 3 hours away. If something actually happened, I could just be like at a job that is very flexible. So if something actually happened where I needed to be home, I could be home in 3.5, 4 hours. If something happened where it's like, hey, you know, like I need you to be home for more than the weekend. When you have a job that's understanding, that's not hard to do. So my long distance, it was 8 months long. Like I said, 5 days a week, 3 hours apart. It sucked for a lot of reasons, but it's not so hard. But then there are the long distance relationships where it's like, hey, I got a job offer. I'm moving to
Canada.
shore, and you're staying here, and that's that.
So, the simple answer for me is yes, they can totally work. And like in a scenario, like I was in a long distance relationship for a while,
Yeah.
and it was fine. We basically talked on Skype all the time.
So what
We
were
kept
the
in contact.
what was the details of your long distance relationship?
She lived in Canada, I lived in the States,
Mm-hmm.
right? And basically the agreement was like I would go visit her, she would come visit me a few times a year for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And you just coordinated that with work. And
But does it? But
it was pretty easy.
Is there any end goal? I guess is like the biggest thing.
Well, I mean, eventually, someday, I mean, had the relationship continued,
Yeah.
end goal's marriage with most relationships, so that's probably what would have happened.
But with somebody succeeding, and that's the hardest part, is when somebody moves for a job or whatever, and it's like, okay, you've now moved. I'm not leaving where I'm at. Okay, well, I'm moving for my job that I plan to be at for possibly the rest of my life till I retire. It's like, okay,
well,
is there
I
any
mean,
light
I guess
at the end of the tunnel, or
I mean, that's something you have to talk about with your significant other. It's just
Yeah.
like one of you have to make the call. Either you're going to end the relationship,
Yep.
or one of you are going to give up the job.
right?
You know? So, I mean, that's a call that you have to make with your partner. And it's a very difficult call to make for some people. Some people are married to their job and they just won't quit it.
Yep.
But it's just like most things in life are temporary. Like for me, I have debt. My debt will be taken care of in about 2 years, and
Sure.
then there'll be other debt. There'll be a house, hopefully, but or a car or a new car. There's always going to be debt in your life,
Yeah.
and there's always going to be jobs.
Sorry, in my mind, I'm just picturing cutting to B-roll of like housing listings in this area. It's the only
it's
time
just-
this show's ever had B-roll. And
It's just
like,
you green screen laughing like nah.
It's like 1.2 million for a 2-bedroom.
Why are you killing my dreams?
That might be a good gag.
So yeah, I mean, you just have to talk with your significant other, decide who's going to move, and one of you just suck it up and move, basically. So yes, they can work. Is it easy to make it work? Not necessarily. It's every relationship's going to be different. Maybe the partner that lives further away doesn't have anything going on, or they lose their job and they're like, hey, let's do it. Like, let's move in together where you
Right.
are, where you're working, or yeah, and you can always commute to see family and stuff. So I think a long distance relationship can work, and I really don't think it's that much of a problem.
Sure.
Yeah.
But not to sound,
You're playing
to-
devil's advocate.
not
It's
to
fine.
pry, but it didn't. I started this by saying like
Yeah.
it often doesn't,
Mm-hmm.
and you gave an example of a long distance relationship that didn't work.
I wasn't ready for a long-term commitment,
Okay.
and I was an idiot. So yeah, it didn't work out.
Yeah. And that's why it's very tough, but it's one of those things where it's like if you can make it through, I feel like when me and my wife finally, because like I moved in with another with a roommate. That's something that after being married for 8 almost 9 years at the time, I didn't think I would ever have a roommate. You know, like I was like, that's weird. I have a roommate. It's my wife.
Yeah.
But
that's easy, right?
Yeah. Well, and I'm open to the idea of me and her having a roommate, but I'm talking like moving in. I found this person on Craigslist. I went and looked at the house. I gave her a deposit, and we lived together. And it was me and this stranger. And I'm like, never thought that would happen.
And it was fine.
Yeah, no, it was fine. Because it's like we knew we had that end goal. And it's like, when we finally did, like, move back in together, it was awesome.
Yeah. You and
so I think that's something where it's like, can a long-distance relationship work? If it does, and eventually you get to be reunited with each other, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, there are so many, like, things you no longer take for granted. It's like, I don't have to talk on a phone. I could just talk to this person. It's a great feeling.
You can also, what was I going to say? You can also test it out before you make the big leap to, like, moving in together. Something like stay together for a month or something like that. Make sure you don't hate each other. That's supposed to be a really important thing to do before you decide to, get married. Like, live together for a little while, because if it doesn't work and you can't get over the hurdles of living together, that's not going to go away when you're married.
No.
So... Yeah, so it can work. Relationships are work. You got to put the work in. And sometimes it works better for some people. Like you and Amanda are great together, except for when you're mean to her and kick her out of the house because you won the lottery.
Things happen. You know what I'm saying? I gotta go drive that new Charger I bought. Yeah, no, relationships are always work. And I know from the outside looking in, you never expect... Like, I don't know if anybody looks at me or my wife or if you do and think, they never fight. Oh, Mark's just always there talking about video games all day. Amanda's doing whatever. She's mean to me. She's mean to me, Teston.
I'm here, Mark.
She's mean to me.
If you need to talk.
But it's like, it is. It's always work. But if it's constantly work, that's not a good thing either.
Yeah.